In our first story, stakeholders in the $1.5 billion Tema Port expansion project will be meeting on Monday over grievances of workers, which is said to have resulted in a demonstration on Thursday, which disrupted ongoing works at the port. The stakeholders include Meridian Port Services, China Harbour Engineering Company Limited, Lenay Services Limited, the Maritime and Dock Workers Union, leadership of the workers, and the Transport Ministry. The meeting on Monday will be preceded by a similar one Friday. A report by Kwame Yanka.
Some people are being cheated in this area.
The meeting will afford stakeholders in the port expansion project the opportunity to find lasting solutions to demands by workers. The workers say they have been shortchanged, leading to 2 demonstrations within a month. Earlier Thursday, workers decided not to work until management of both China Harbour Engineering Company Limited and Lenay Services improved their conditions of service.
We are complaining about all these things for a very long time. I come to work, people are from very far places, you get it, and then you give them 100 cedis for TNT for the whole month. How can you give me 100 cedis? If someone is coming from a Bri, there are people coming from Kaswa, you get it, and then they spent almost 20 cedis in and out, and you give them 100 cedis to survive for a month as TNT, and your Chinese people are in buses, you accommodate them in whatever hostels or whatever it is.
I see it to me. You benefit or risk allowance, Nina high and Untina, your causes are demonstration when it's a buying on Shemuna on your being found my per contracts and ye per se, ye co check direct, send your bayer, say contract in Conerea, yes, you bet me a benefit to be woman.
And the agents that pick us to come and work here, they are cheating us. They are not paying us. We don't see the benefit of the money they are giving us. No risk allowance, no feeding fee, no transportation fee.
The workers' agitation resulted in an emergency meeting between some partners of the expansion project. The Maritime and Dock Workers Union, which has been tasked to put on paper the demands of workers to be presented to management of Czech and Lenay Services Limited, was at the meeting. General Secretary of the Maritime and Dock Workers Union, Daniel Owusu-Kranting, assured the workers that their concerns will be addressed. Though the workers were threatening to lay down their tools until their demands are met, Owusu-Kranting urged the workers to continue working. He is, however, not happy with the way the workers are treated as far as the expansion work is concerned.
If we look on this, I know this person is a crane operator, and look at his basic. It is not even the minimum wage. I mean, the minimum wage is 8.8 Ghana cedis, which is about 234 or something cedis per month. But this person earns around 150 Ghana cedis. A very skilled person, you know. So the people they are paying people below the minimum wage, highly skilled people, and that is not right. It's not something that we can take. The labor laws are against it. And then the last point is that they go through intimidation and threats. The leasing will sack you. They give you 2 weeks and they are dismissed. You don't even know what you have done. So all these things are put together to be the driving force of the agitations that we see today.
Mayor of Tema, Felix Mensala, also met with the workers to calm their nerves. Kwame Yanka's report for Joy News.
Elsewhere, the leadership of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union were some minutes ago locked up in a meeting with management of the La Beach Hotel here in Accra to resolve issues emerging from a sit-down strike by some of the workers earlier on Thursday. The workers are demanding a 15% increase in their salaries. Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba was there and has come through with this report.
Protesting and pressing home demands for an increment in their salaries. They say they have been on the negotiating table for about 8 months now. Say yesterday what broke the camel's back was when their general manager, Michael Rathbach, walked out of the meeting with the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union yesterday, and then he walked out on them. That is the last straw that broke the camel's back, and today the workers here are protesting outside the premises. In the morning when we came sometime around 8 o'clock a.m., they said they would not allow the general manager to get access to the premises of this hotel, and they are still waiting for him. They say usually he comes sometime around 8 o'clock, but as it stands right now, the general manager is still not in, and they are here protesting, waiting for him to arrive.
This is a peaceful demonstration. That is it. And nothing more, nothing less. Yesterday, your general manager, which for want of better words, rubbish us at the verge of the negotiation and run away, neglecting us to our fate. He should stay in his house. Yes. But if he's coming, then he's coming with good news.
15.8.
He's coming to restore us the inflation, 15.8, and nothing more, nothing less.
We don't respect anybody. We be slaves. You didn't hear the Germany. You came here, we have worked, our sweat. We are living in a luxury home. We can enjoy running away. How can the general manager? He's afraid. The way
What's your name?
Oh, I'm David Ouswansa.
David Ouswansa, what exactly are you protesting?
Oh, it's just a simple thing. We are looking for a salary increment since from last year, October. That's what we are waiting for. And it's 8 months now. The GM said he doesn't have the mandate to give us. So that's what we are doing now. We are tired because school has opened and we need to pay our school fees. We need to pay our rent. And that's what we are asking. For 8 months. He is taking his salary, he's taking his allowances, he's living in 4 bedrooms. We are not saying he should give us oil. Just a small thing that we are asking for.
Well, the Vice Chairman of the local chapter of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, James Brown, has been speaking about the meeting with management. He says a final meeting to resolve the issue will be held on Monday.
The outcome of the meeting is the management was pleading for us to call the legacy chairman. That the legacy is the company, the management company of the hotel, Labadi Beach Hotel. The chairman, who is a South African, and he talked to the ITU Deputy General Secretary in charge of operations. So when we finished on the phone call, it was agreed that the legacy chairman, which his name is Pat Dorenson, is flying from South Africa to Ghana on Sunday for a meeting on Monday morning.
So on Monday, 10 o'clock a.m., are you hoping to be able to resolve all the issues that came up?
Yes, because with this, they have let management put on hold on processing of our salary for the May until we have an outcome of the Monday meeting. Our salary is not going to be processed. And the chairman has assured us that we will take our new salary this May, and that is an assurance. If it didn't go on well on the Monday morning meeting, then we will know what to do next.
But you've had a meeting with management. Are you satisfied with the outcome? And I mean, some of you were vowing earlier in the day that you would not allow the general manager access the premises of the hotel until you get your 15% increment. After this meeting with management, are you going to back down on that?
No, we are not backing down on the side of the general manager to come back, because now we cannot negotiate with the general manager. We are negotiating with the general manager's boss. So we are still asking the management that they should let the general manager stay at home. But we are going to call off our demonstration until Monday, 10 o'clock morning, when the meeting has been begin, then we assemble the staff to wait for the outcome.
The medical director of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital is challenging a directive by the health minister to transfer him from the facility, saying he has no such power. The directive asking the medical director to return to his previous post in Tamale in the northern region comes days after the hospital opened to the public. Thomas Anaba, however, says he has no plans of leaving office and has vowed to fight the decision as far as the courts. And Odame filed the following report after paying him a visit in the hospital.
This is not the first time Dr. Thomas Anaba is encountering challenges with his appointment. Workers of the hospital in January 2016 protested when he was named successor to Dr. Emmanuel Obing-Apori, the then medical director. Dr. Anaba, however, says the protests were instigated by Dr. Emmanuel Sofenyo, who he says was also interested in the job.
It was from Dr. Sofenyo and a few staff.
You have evidence for
that? Oh, he petitioned the president. He petitioned the president, the then president. Or you were not aware of that?
So you think that is he part of this?
He has been appointed now. He has been appointed now.
To sit in your stead?
To sit in my place.
1.5 years into his tenure, Dr. Anaba is being asked to make way for Dr. Emmanuel Sofenyo. He, however, says the health minister who issued the directive has no such power to determine who heads which health facility.
It is illegal. It's power drunk. It's unfair. It is humiliating. Because the letter in itself doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
Exactly?
Because you can't just tell somebody you are restructuring the hospital. He may be competent somewhere, but he himself said it that he's not very good in health. He knows nothing about health.
So how exactly would you want this to be done?
Rescind his decision.
Why?
Because it's not correct.
So until that you're not moving and
why should I move? Why should I obey an illegal, flawed administrative letter?
One other reason Dr. Anaba says has been cited for his removal is that the contractors have questioned his competence to manage the brand new hospital.
The sad thing is that the minister is relying on Bouygues, that the Bouygues company indicated that I'm not competent to manage the place, so he should remove me.
Dr. Anaba says he has already instructed his lawyers to ensure the health minister withdraws his directive and an apology issued for what he says are lapses.
Why? But we have written a letter to them to respond. Yeah.
From your lawyers?
Yes.
What exactly do you want from them?
To reverse his decision.
So that you stay on?
Yes.
Or which of them? So that you stay on?
So I stay on.
Or to go to UDS?
He should reverse the decision and apologize that he erred to Ghanaian people.
Meanwhile, Dr. Sofenyo, who until his appointment as medical director was head of clinical services, is waiting to take up his new post. Meaning that until Dr. Anaba backs down or Dr. Sofenyo is reassigned, the Greater Accra Regional Hospital will have two rival medical directors. For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odame.
We're taking a break on Joy News Prime, but still to come in the bulletin, the Association of Small-Scale Miners is threatening a demonstration of a government moratorium on illegal mining. It says is depriving them of their livelihood. Stay tuned, we will be back in a minute. The Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners says its members will embark on a demonstration next Tuesday if government fails to lift the ban on small-scale mining in 3 days. The Ashanti Region chapter wants government to clearly distinguish between licensed small-scale miners and illegal miners, or face what they call an all-die-be-die protest. Deputy Executive Secretary Frank Osei told a news conference in Kumasi the ban has cost members their livelihood. The group showed up at the May Day parade at the Jubilee Park to make similar demands. Ms. Osei says government should either listen to their plea or expect a massive protest march.
National executives, we've called all miners in this country, 8 regions. We are ready, we are on standby. If in 3 days, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, with all due respect, does not clear the airwaves, draw a distinction between illegal activities and small-scale miners, and we're still in the house, then yebewu preko na ewobiaso edawo. We want to tell the government that we are ready to pay monitoring fees and their contribution to reclamation. This will create employment for people to monitor us that we're doing our job properly. Again, if this money is properly managed, they can get seedlings for farmers who are ready to go back to their lands and plant. We are ready to cooperate. Other than that, Nana will hit the street. Ubekuya preko. Na eye ekombe kumedia ene be fi say me wu preko eye.
Nana obama yakwaya me kwa me anya aduma.
Also, illegal miners at Manso Tontokrom and Dantanano in the Ashanti region are defying government's directive to suspend the operations. A whole month after the ban was extended, alluvial miners in the two towns in the Manse West District continue with the activities. Community leaders are now looking up to government to act after a failed bid to restrain them. Nane Aljima reports.
The sale of farmlands for gold extraction has increased illegal mining activities at Tontokrom and nearby communities. The Komu River, the main source of drinking water, is now heavily polluted from mining activities. Commercial transport operators, including motorbike riders, popularly known as Okada, provide facilitation for the illegal miners. Though government's fight against the menace has seen reduced numbers, there are still defiant elements. The miners, who will not speak on record or camera, insist government must find alternatives for them before they leave. Assembly member for Tontokrom, Gabriel Malfo, believes only deployment of state security can flush the culprits out.
They have destroyed our water bodies here. We are now drinking from the boreholes government provided.
Young phone assembly dear, a high area near, no question, and no dear. I say, but
our farms have been destroyed, but I will not blame these miners. We sold the farms ourselves to some Chinese nationals.
Assassin did my China phone, and assassin, I develop an assassin saying. It's another intimate fan say one more and assassin and the 100%.
We have had series of discussions with the miners, but they will not leave. I am now waiting on the security agencies to send them away.
Nana Aljima reporting.
Aisha Wang, the Chinese woman who was last week arrested by the Ghana Immigration Service for illegal mining, will be spending another week in prison custody after her lawyers failed to get an Accra High Court to hear her bail application on Thursday. She and 4 other Chinese nationals are standing trial for various mining offences. The state attorney handling the case, Mercy Arthur, asked for more time to respond to the application. The bail application will be moved on May 23, with the state expected to oppose the application. None of the suspects were in court. Meanwhile, the state has indicated it will be charging the accused under the Minerals Commissions Act instead of the immigration offences they currently have been charged with, which will leave them with less severe sentences. Moako branch manager Jihad Shaban, who is accused of assaulting a caterer at the restaurant, has told Anna Becker Court the caterer filed the complaint to extort money from him. Jihad has, for the past 2 court hearings, been narrating his version of the incident in an effort to convince the court to exonerate him for allegedly shoving the face of the caterer into blended pepper. Joy News' Joseph Akable was in court in our reports.
Jihad Shaban continued with his testimony to the court. He accused caterer Evelyn Boachi filing the complaint at the police station with the aim of making some money from him. He claimed another caterer at the restaurant, one Abigail, informed him of the grand scheme being cooked by Evelyn with the aim of making money from him. He had the opportunity to reenact the entire incident that took place at the restaurant on the said day. He explained to the court he never at any point thrust the face of the lady into the blended pepper, but rather held her chin, directing her to have a look at the onions stuck at the bottom of the blender. He was then cross-examined by Chief Inspector Hansen Ama. Chief Inspector Hansen Ama sought to suggest to Jihad Chaban that he had a good understanding of the English language. Jihad disagreed, insisting he could understand simple English and communicated with the workers using that simple English. Another issue that came up were two statements taken from Jihad Chaban when he showed up in the police station after the matter was reported. Chief Inspector Hansen Ama suggested to him that on the very first time the statement was taken from him, he had counsel when that was done. Jihad Chaban disagreed, saying he could not tell whether that individual accompanied him to take the statement was indeed a lawyer or not. Chief Inspector Hansen Ama ended his cross-examination, indicating his willingness to continue at the next adjourned date. Hearing of the case continues on Wednesday, 24th May, as Chief Inspector Hansen Ama continues with his cross-examination of Jihad Chaban. For Joy News, Joseph Akable, Abeka District Court.
Now, the fall armyworm invasion on farms across the country is largely under control. That's according to the Agriculture Minister, Dr. Kutosu Afriyie. He says there has been no further spread beyond the 1,300 hectares destroyed initially. Dr. Afriyie has been on a tour of some affected farms. Joseph Puku-Gakpo was with him and came through with this report.
The minister visited communities in the eastern region where farmers complain about the destruction of cornfields as a result of pest attacks. The farmers say chemicals they purchased and applied in the past month have failed to kill the pest, threatening their livelihoods. The first time we saw this was last month. The armyworms were chewing the leaves of the crop. They made it very easy for the plants to be uprooted. We have applied more than 600 cedis worth of chemicals on the fields, and we have sprayed on 2 different occasions, but the pests continue to destroy the fields. But we remain hopeful that the maize leaves and the other parts that's been destroyed will recover soon, so that we can get good yield. But Dr. Afriyie says government is distributing more potent chemicals at a cost of more than 8 million cedis free of charge to farmers to help fight the pest, and is confident this will stop them.
As I said, you remember I asked him when he received his chemicals. He's receiving today. But last week when I inaugurated the national task force, I promised that chemicals will be dispatched over the weekend, so that by the early part of this week, applications will start. And applications have started. You know, by the weekend, I'm sure that all farmers in the affected areas will have received and applied, and we will see the back of it.
Already, all regions except Volta have been affected. The Peasant Farmers Association has warned the invasion could derail government planting for foods and jobs policy, but Dr. Afriyie disagrees.
It's very limited. The armyworm, as of last week, had destroyed nearly 1,400 hectares. That's all. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of hectares in this country, but it's under control. We've been in the field, you've seen them spraying. The areas that they've sprayed, the armyworms have been killed off. We are still distributing. So by the end of this week, all the districts, all the farms affected would have been sprayed, and that will be the end of the end.
Following the handing over of some chemicals to the Eastern Region MUFA office, the regional director assured extension agents will get to work immediately to spray the farms.
Minister of Trade and Industry Alan Kyerematen says government will continue to support skilled local entrepreneurs to develop homemade technologies to help create jobs and reduce the level of unemployment in the country. Job creation was among a number of campaign promises made by the governing NPP in the run-up to last year's elections, a promise the minister says would be followed through. Mr. Kyerematen said this Thursday afternoon when he received a newly acquired 50,000 Ghana cedi 4x4 vehicle from the Kantanka Automobile Company Limited.
By purchasing this vehicle from Kantanka, we are supporting local enterprise and local initiative. Secondly, this is a very practical demonstration and reflection of the vision of this government about establishing and supporting the private sector to develop strategic anchor industries, one of which is the automotive and vehicle assembly. Thirdly, we are proud to be supporting this initiative because the Kantanka initiative is creating employment and is creating jobs, and that's what this government is preaching. Fourthly, we are also pleased to be part of this initiative because they are developing local skills, developing new technologies, transferring new technologies, and using these skills to manufacture vehicles in this country. And last but not the least, because they are going to do subcontracting and buy from other local suppliers, we are developing new enterprises that would link into the Kantanka initiative. So
the vehicle is expected to be placed in the motor pool of the Ministry of Trade and Industry. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break for business news. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more.
Thank you very much for joining me on Business. An oil marketing company, GOIL, has revealed the plans to construct a bitumen plant to serve the construction needs of the country. This, according to the company, will be timely, especially for road construction and other infrastructural development which government is targeting. The board chairman of GOIL, Professor William Asumani, made the revelation at the company's 48th annual general meeting. Ebenezer Sabute was there for Joy Business.
Shareholders of oil marketing company GOIL have been deliberating on the company's 2016 financial performance at the 48th annual general meeting. GOIL achieved a turnover of over 2 million Ghana cedis in 2016, representing a 26.95% increase over the 2015 figure, while net profit after tax also grew by 58.73%. The company has therefore approved a dividend payment of 0.025 Ghana cedis per share to shareholders. Addressing shareholders, outgoing chairman of the board, Professor William Asumani, announced that the company has secured some funds to construct a bitumen plant at Tema in the Greater Accra region. According to him, part of the 150 million Ghana cedis capital rights issue will be used for the project.
GOIL remains the biggest OMC with a market share of 18.2%. In 2016, the company undertook a rights issue to raise additional capital of 150 million Ghana cedis to undertake certain key projects, among which are the Takoradi Harbour project mentioned earlier, the construction of a bitumen plant and a lubricant blending plant in Tema. The company achieved a turnover of about 2.6 billion Ghana cedis in 2016, representing a 26.95% increase over 2015. Net profits after tax grew from 22.21 million Ghana cedis in 2015 to 35.3 million Ghana cedis in 2016.
Despite a fall of about 5.6% in national fuel consumption, the company's fuel sales grew by 9.8% during 2016. On the country's energy sector debt, Managing Director of GOIL, Patrick Kwame Akoli, expressed confidence that government will clear it soon.
The good thing is that if the government is owing you, it's not a bad debt. You don't even make a provision for it, the government will pay. Unlike private individuals whom you may not even know the address and that things owe you. But if the government is owing you, it's not a bad debt, they will pay. And we have a strong assurance that it will be paid.
Board members of the company have promised to increase dividends next year, depending on the company's finances.
Ghana is to leverage the experiences of the Gulf states to improve the fortunes of her oil and gas sector. This will become possible through the newly launched Ghana Gulf Cooperation Chamber of Commerce in Accra. Charles Aite was at the launch and has come through with this report.
launch of the Ghana Gulf Cooperation Chamber of Commerce is the first formalized partnership between Ghana and the states of the Persian Gulf. The chamber will, among others, expected to see Ghana leverage on the experiences of the Gulf states to improve its oil and gas industry. Executive Director and board member of the newly launched chamber is Albert Ankra. He spoke to Joy Business.
Over the years, Ghana has had some steady relationship with these chambers. What we found out is that we have not, if you like, formalized the arrangements and agreements that we have with this region. This is a region with a per capita income of over $40 billion US, and we think that Ghana can do a lot with this particular region. Traditionally we've had trading partners as the US, the UK, China most recently, but we feel that there is an untapped potential between Ghana and the Gulf countries, and that's what we seek to tap.
On his part, CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, said government is confident in deepening the trade ties between Ghana and the Gulf.
The Gulf is a $1.7 trillion economy, but with a population of only 47 million, I think that we have good opportunities to engage and attract investment from the Gulf into Ghana, but also to build business connections and trade opportunities as well. I know that there are quite a number of large players in the Gulf looking to come to Ghana as a springboard into the West African sub-region and into Africa. So this is a great opportunity. I estimate that in 10 years, Ghana will be somewhere far away from where it is today, because we'll learn from the Gulf. I mean, we'll learn from Dubai. How did they make it? How did they get to be where they are? What did they focus on? And yes, I mean, there is a non-oil economy and there's an oil economy. We have said that we'll move this economy from a factor-driven economy to a value-added, and maybe industrialized economy.
Members of the chamber will be drawn from the investment communities in both Ghana and the Gulf states.
Some commercial banks in the country continue to respond positively to the existing base rate reduction at 25.5% announced by the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank. In an interview with Joy Business, Managing Director of UBA, Abiola Beua, said customers of the bank are enjoying the benefits of the policy rate reduction.
The MPC rate is what gives banks the indicative rate of what our base rate will be. And so we have looked at it, and of course our base rate is on a downward trend.
Any expectations in the industry moving ahead?
Yeah. I think that we are very optimistic about the government policies. We are very positive that looking at things that are coming up and the various directives of BOG, we have no doubt that this industry will see a lot of upward movement. Minister of Finance is coming out with a lot of rules. They are looking at how to solve the BDC issues. So with that, I think that every bank is happy.
How far with your NPLs? Have they come up? Have they gone down? Or they are still ruining your operations?
Well, in UBA, we don't have too many problems with NPL. Our NPL has always been among the best, and we continue to manage it in-house. We have a strong team that makes sure that we don't cross what we call the threshold.
Stakeholders in facility management services have called on government to come out with a policy that will ensure efficient public infrastructure management. The call was made as the world marked World Facility Management Day. Group Managing Director of Alpha Mead Facilities and Services Management, Femi Akintunde, said such conscious efforts could help cut down costs.
The World Facility Management Day aims to bring the profile of the facilities management profession to a global scale. In Ghana, the Facility Management Roundtable is the first of its kind to be organized by management service company Alpha Meads Facilities. The occasion brought together stakeholders to share best practices, innovative technologies and global trends to shape the industry. Group MD of Alpha Meads Facilities, who interacted with Joy Business, said there was a need for more education in the sector.
We have to make sure that we have enough people who understand the concepts, the principles, the standards. And when we begin to influence our maintenance culture positively, you'll find out that when these people grow up and they become captains of industry, it won't be difficult for anybody to convince them to sustain high quality standards.
We were talking about the government and their impact the other time. Look at infrastructure maintenance, because this is part of facilities management as well. Roads, water, electricity. If you don't manage those infrastructure very well, they will impact the efficiency of the private sector at the end of the day.
Mr. Akintunde also urged proper management of all public infrastructural facilities.
Private people are able to sustain and maintain quality real estate assets, but government assets, real estate assets, never get well looked after. And that should not be the case. The wealth of the nation, those assets belong to all of us. So we need government to come up with a standard policy that ensures that government real estate assets receive the same level of good attention as if they were privately owned. So you go to government hospitals, go to government secretariat, you go to the to schools that are owned by government, they are run down. It should not be the case, because it is the same public fund they will use to resuscitate those things later. So we must get our government to take a responsible position and come up with policies and standards that ensure that government assets are not eroded.
This year's Global Facility Management Day is under the theme Enabling Positive Experiences.
That's all in business. Many thanks for your attention. My name is Emmanuel Apoachi. You have a good evening.
President Akufo-Addo is urging Senegal to learn from Ghana's oil and gas experience to ensure they make the most of their resources. Addressing a joint news conference with his Senegalese counterpart at the presidential palace in Dakar, President Akufo-Addo said Ghana will be willing to make available all relevant information, especially contracting, so that they are not shortchanged in their negotiations with their partners. Senegal recently discovered oil and gas in commercial quantities and is already in discussions with oil giants to explore it. President Akufo-Addo, who is on a visit to Senegal as part of his West African tour, said the resources must benefit the people.
We are at the wrong end of the scale in the affairs of the world. We have the resources, but yet we're the poorest people, the African people in the world. The time has come for us to work together to break that cycle of poverty and bring about prosperity in our nations. And I believe that the leadership of a man like Macky Sall and others in Africa today, we have a real chance of working together to be able to achieve that end. That's why I'm particularly keen to put at his disposal and the disposal of the Senegalese state such experiences that we've had already with the development of our petroleum and gas resources. Already we've had some good and bad experiences. And if we can share those experiences with you who are about to enter this field, it will strengthen your hand in negotiating with the great, powerful petroleum companies that are such a dominant feature of the petroleum industry of the world. It's important that we continue to coalesce and work together. And we are very, very, very keen to put whatever information that we've had at the disposal of the Senegalese government and state.
Senegalese President Macky Sall is optimistic that cooperation between the two countries will strengthen trade and bilateral relations.
Senegal and Ghana share a long tradition of brotherly and amicable relationship. You have recalled President Senghor, as well as I also recall the pride of African when they talk about Nkrumah for his contribution.
Sont donc des héritiers de cette Afrique qui a vocation à se développer et à devenir un espace d'émergence et de prospérité.
emergence and prosperity. We also have a common space, which is the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, where we share common values, freedom, democracy, democratic experience, a sound democratic this visit is part of the tradition of the Brazilian relationship of common space and shared values, and we would like to boost this relationship. We said that at the economic and at the commercial level.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo has urged African leaders to dedicate themselves to improving the living conditions of their people. Recounting the horrifying effects of the slave trade during a visit to Gorée Island as part of his trip to Senegal, President Akufo-Addo said never again should Africans be subjected to such inhumane treatment. There's more in this News Desk report.
The island of Gorée lies off the coast of Senegal, opposite the capital Dakar. From the 15th to the 19th century, it was the largest slave trading center on the African coast. Ruled in succession by the Portuguese, Dutch, English and French, its architecture is characterized by the contrast between the grim slave quarters and the elegant houses of the slave traders. Today, it continues to serve as a reminder of human exploitation and as a sanctuary for reconciliation. Being almost devoid of drinking water, Gorée is known as the location of the House of Slaves built by an Afro-French Métis family between 1780 and 1784. The House of Slaves is one of the oldest houses on the island. It is now used as a tourist destination to show the horrors of the slave trade throughout the Atlantic world. After the decline of the slave trade from Senegal in the 1770s and 1780s, the town became an important port for the shipment of peanuts, peanut oil, gum arabic, ivory and other products of the legitimate trade. After a tour of the dungeon, President Akufo-Addo said the scars of slavery must remind African leaders to work towards making life better for their people.
It is a monument that we, the peoples of Africa, should never ignore. The depopulation of our continent is degeneration, the brazen theft of our resources. All these are captured in these harrowing memories and legacies. It means that we have to organize ourselves in such a fashion that no peoples can ever do this to us again.
President Akufo-Addo has since left for Conakry, Guinea to continue his tour. The West African Network for Peace Building is warning against an immediate disbandment of the politically affiliated vigilante groups without redirecting their energies and skills. Drawing on the Nigerian experience with Boko Haram, Executive Director of the organization, Chukwu Emeka Eze, said aside targeting those who empower them, members of such groups will redirect their acquired skills and expertise into social vices if disbanded without a reconstruction of their mindset. His comments follows an announcement by chairman of the pro-NPP vigilante group Delta Force that the group has gained popularity and that the membership has increased since the Kumasi court incident, where some members of the group stormed the court to free 13 of the colleagues in lawful custody. Chukwu Emeka Eze was speaking on the Pulse earlier.
The cycle is broken when the group is so sophisticated that they turn and become the enemy of those who empower them. That's the way the cycle is broken. Today, those who armed the initial group of the youths that later transformed itself to Boko Haram are the targets of Boko Haram. And I don't think that that's the cycle. And that's the direction that Ghana wants to go. So at the moment, they seem very comfortable. Everybody is enjoying. But at the end of the day, the groups are developing skills. The question we want to throw back to the politicians is, what kind of skills are they developing? They are developing the skills of violence. They are demonstrating the skills of the use of arms and ammunitions. Now, Let's assume it gets to a point when everybody now have confidence in the state. What kind of transfer of skills will they have? The politicians have hobnobbed with a group they should not ab initio have hobnobbed with. But let's not also disband totally without reinventing, so that we don't create a menace for the society. So the politicians need to quickly think across party lines, because this is not a government of the day's problem. The opposition, the current opposition, had the same type of group. So it cuts across all the political actors. So my advice is that they need to sit down and reinvent this group. What are they capable of doing other than what they are doing at the moment? We need to strategically place them so, and then begin a deconstruction process of their mindsets. Otherwise, it will lead to a situation. And don't forget, we are in an era that nobody is sure of tomorrow. We are in era of violent extremism. We are in era of cyber crimes. We are in era of all piracy and all sorts of crime that exist out there. So if we don't reinvent them and say we have chased them away, they are now illegal, that may create further menace for the society, including the politicians themselves. But if we are strategic enough to reinvent their energy, probably we may be getting out of the woods.
A youth group, the Dynamic Youth Movement of Ghana, is tasking President Akufo-Addo to set up a board for the Securities and Exchange Commission within the next 15 working days. The group, which is giving the next line of action if the president does not yield to their demand, did not state what they would do next. Researcher of the group, the Dechi Wanda, explained to Joy News the absence of the board has affected the commission's operations, including what they say is the questionable issuance of a $2.25 billion bond to U.S. company Franklin Templeton.
We wrote to the Securities and Exchange Commission. We were told that the commission's board does not even exist. So we were so shocked that, well, if the president is saying that he's in a hurry and that he needs to do things, then why is it that such an important board that's supposed to actually take care of the finance and the loan bond issues of this country have not been catered for? And that was very astonishing. So we realized that, no, first and foremost, if that board is not existing and the issues surrounding the board are also there and the president is not doing anything about it, then it means that the president is actually keeping his words regarding the fact that he is somebody who want the rule of law to thrive in this country. So we, as a matter of fact, informing the president that, look, if he does not know, there is the board for the Securities and Exchange Commission Ghana is not in existence, and that he should, as a matter of urgency, through the letter we submitted to his office, form that board within the next 15 working days, because this board is urgently needed to actually go into the issues that are surrounding the bond, because the issues strive on, 1, disregard for the rule of law, 2, conflict of interest, 3, corruption. And the third one, which is the corruption, is one thing that the president had made all of us, the youth of Ghana, believe that he is an incorruptible individual. So if he is such an incorruptible individual, then he should see to it that this board is formed and the board performs its functions.
Right, so on to our very top story. It's the case of the 13 members of a pro-MPP vigilante group who were arrested in connection with the assault of the Ashanti Region Security Liaison Officer. That case has been adjourned to June 15 because the Attorney General wants to buy some time to study the case. Kwesi Debra has more.
Their second appearance in court after initially being remanded in prison custody saw invasion of the court by 8 of their colleagues. 8 members of the militant group arrested for forcibly setting the 13 free were freed on Wednesday for lack of evidence. The development has sparked nationwide outrage about the decision of the Attorney General's office, which advised a discontinuation of the trial. The 13 accused persons were subsequently granted bail of 2,400 Ghana cedis each. On Thursday, when they appeared in court, prosecutors said the Attorney General's office had called for docket for study and advice, hence the adjournment. The accused arrived at the KMA court at about 7 a.m. in somber mood. Some of them who will not speak on record expressed worry what they see as delayed trial. They told me they are stressed up and would want the process to end soon. The court, presided over by Mary Century, who was whisked away by security personnel on the day of the invasion, adjourned the case after just 5 minutes of hearing. Matthew Appiah is counsel for the accused. He says he will make appropriate submissions when the trial drags.
Oh, we have already indicated to the that the Attorney General has taken over the docket, and the Attorney General is studying the docket. Sometimes when the docket is taken, what happens is that it takes some time, maybe 1 month, 2 months, sometimes even 3 months. And sometimes, particularly in serious offenses like murder and other robbery and those, when the Attorney General is advising, sometimes it can take even up to about a year. So we will wait. When there is time, when we see that there is inordinate delay to prosecute the case, we will make our appropriate submissions in court.
Now, last year, Joy News' Upper East correspondent, Albert Sorry, told the story of the Aganda Primary School at Kandinga in the region. At the time, the children were virtually studying in the hot sun. Following that report, the mud classroom structure where the pupils were sprawling was roofed for them as a new classroom block is put up. Following the change in government, however, work on the new block, which is about 70% complete, has stalled, leaving the children with a precarious situation in the old mud structure, which is near collapse. Upper East correspondent Albert Sorry visited the Aganda Primary School again and came through with this report.
A roofless 4-room mud structure with cracked walls and children sitting on the bare ground for lessons. This was the situation at the Aganda Primary School during my last visit. Today, I returned to this school located in the Kassena-Nankana West District to find out if anything has changed since Joy News first aired the story in February last year. I find that the structure has now been roofed, although in a rather patchy fashion. Everything else here at the Aganda Primary School remains same as it was last year, if not worse. School has just reopened and many of the children have not reported to school yet. But the few children in classes 1 and 2 are sitting on pieces of blocks for lessons, just like I saw during my last visit. The cracks on the walls of this mud structure are getting deeper, worse than last year. But even more disturbing is something I see now which was missing last year. Fresh animal dung littered in the classrooms where these little children gather to acquire knowledge. Gilbert Atanga is headmaster of the Aganda Primary School.
And let me use this opportunity to thank the staff of Joy News for having come here the last time to give a vivid reportage about the situation in this school. I think it has taken this as far as the development of the school is concerned. The roofing, you can still see that our doors are ajar. When it is raining or when there's threat of windstorm, what I simply do is to close down the school. Because you cannot tell, this is still a death trap. It's only half a loaf. The problem still exists as far as furniture is concerned, as far as the classrooms are concerned. You see that the nature of the classroom is not good. The PTA and the SMC has been of help, but this is the best they can do. The thing is only government's intervention that can help address the situation.
Away from this mud structure is a new concrete classroom block. The building is finished and roofed, and the outstanding work borders more on fittings. But the headmaster tells Joy News work on the building, which started in November last year, stopped in January this year.
And I operate my office from a house, which makes administration very difficult for me. Even the teachers have no sitting place. The children themselves have no sitting place. That is not even much a problem. If the structure was completed, where we can comfortably house our children here, for the purpose of safety, we would have been grateful than still lying on the dilapidated structure up there.
As this new building awaits completion, these little children will have to continue their school lessons in this dilapidated mud structure. The rainy season has just started, and already rainstorms have destroyed some schools in this district where Aganda Primary School is located. But with more rains ahead this season, this smart structure may not survive the harsh weather, and that would leave these peoples without a classroom. Hopefully, a plea from Little Doris, one of the peoples here, will cause authorities to act.
We don't have classroom blocks. We don't have teachers. We don't have chairs and tables to sit. We don't have textbook. So we want the government to help us. That is to solve this program.
For Joy News, Albert Sorry, reporting from Kandiga.
Also, Aviation Minister Cecilia Abena Dapaah has expressed dissatisfaction with the work done on the wire strip by construction firm Skill Link Limited. The company was awarded last year a 6-month contract to renovate the terminal building and expand the airstrip, but the project, owing to some constructional challenges, delayed. At today's tour of the wire airstrip, Cecilia Dapaah observed that even though the contractor has finished the project per the scope of work given him, she revealed that portion of the project was poorly executed and has ordered that payment of the final certificate of the contract be suspended until he corrects all shoddy work done. APA West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from WA.
Aviation Minister Cecilia Abena Dapaah first paid a courtesy call on the Upper West Regional Minister Suleiman Al-Hassan before moving to the One House Palace to meet the overlord of the Wala Kingdom, Nafusini Siripilpo IV. She is in the region to inspect ongoing works at the Wa airstrip, where renovation and expansion works has been going on for the past year. Paramount Chief of the Gulo Traditional Area, Nasiru Brema, who spoke on behalf of the Wana, gave a mental picture of the harrowing experience of travelers to the southern Gulf of the country.
We are also confronted with the hazards of the road, accidents and other things. But the most important, armed robbers, when you set out on the road. So that is why the people of this area think that if the airport is worked on quickly and the planes are flying in, it will go a long way to boost economic activities in this part of the country and also help us.
Skill Link Limited was awarded a 6-month contract last year to give a facelift to the Wa airstrip to enable commercial flights to use the facility. Work on the project was expected to finish and handed over before the end of October 2016. The project, however, went beyond the stipulated completed time due to some construction challenges. Assistant Project Manager of Skill Link Limited, Addison Dramani Idrisu, first read to the Aviation Minister and the entourage of the scope of work before conducting them around the facility. He told the Aviation Minister that they have completed the work and is only waiting to hand over to the ministry for them to give green light for commercial flights to start operation. Madam Cecilia Dapaah, after going around the facility, was however not entirely happy with the execution of the project.
Crying for their airports and all these are new. It's supposed to be new. Press, you've all seen it. Focus on it and talk. You are also Ghanaians. We want value for our money. Value for money. When you do a piece of work and it's well done, everybody will praise you. Were you monitoring GACL?
They were resident engineers here.
They were, or they were supposed to have.
No, they were here.
So they supervise this study work.
I think this was done later.
Please, fix it. You should make sure payment is not done until all these things are done.
She later addressed the media on the project.
Areas that the contractor needs to put right. The tarmac had been there. They did some work, markings on them. But the actual terminal building, we have a few issues with that. We've told him he's willing to work on them before his final payment, and I'm going to insist on that we get value for our money. So I believe these are the issues. And we are now going to meet with the airline operators and make sure fire service, they have their building, because we don't want to compromise on safety of the airline operators as well as safety of passengers.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam.
Yes, my name is Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.
This is Joy News Prime.